We're all on our individual and collective journeys to ascension. And given that life can be so difficult and so overwhelming, as well as so unpredictable, it's natural to seek out resources to make that ascension journey more accessible and sustainable in our day-to-day life. So that's what this video is all about. My name is Dr. Osa, and thank you so much for joining me for this conversation on the fastest way to elevate. In this video, just to keep it brief and bite-sized for your digestion, I'm just going to share one tip today that has worked for me in my ascension and level up journey. So, as a first-generation college graduate, I actually I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college, get my master's degree, and get my doctorate degree. And I had a family that was very supportive in my educational journey, but we also struggled financially, to be honest. We struggled with having the resources in a big family. I'm one of 6 children. To have the resources that we needed to have what everyone else had, or just the supports that were needed to have what we would consider a good life. Of course, there was always help in our communities and around us, but oftentimes we lacked basic resources that people would need, different junctures of our lives that got difficult. But over the course of my young adulthood and up until now, I've reached a level of ascension that I've only imagined about, and a level of abundance, not just in the things that I wanted in the world, but in my inner life, in my spiritual life, that is absolutely amazing to me. And this is one tool that I use to reach that level of abundance and ascension. A lot of videos that you might come across before I get into the tip or the tool focus on having these sort of duplicitous or insincere approaches to ascension by lying or deceiving other people into giving you money or just living a life that's not true to who you are. And in the short run, that can lead to some outcomes that are desirable. You can get someone to give you money or give you a car or do favors for you, or even experience some effects that are, desirable by you. But for the long run, when you think about the decades to come and the legacy that you would like to leave behind for future generations, whether you have children or not, this tip is super important that I want to share with you today. And that tip is to know who you are when it comes to your ethics and values, and to ensure that those ethics and values show up in every action, habit, and behavior that you have and that you can participate in the world and in your life. And the reason why I say that is because it may come as a shock to us, but a lot of times we don't know who we really are. We have a vague sense of what our ethics are around maybe the environment, or the way we treat other people, what we do when no one else is looking. And as they say, your character is who you are when no one else is looking. And so to understand and to develop an even stronger character, you have to first know who you are. What are your values around how you treat other people? Does that also show up in how you treat yourself? What are your values around the environment, around nature, and how you engage with God's creations? What are your values around money, around your family, around every aspect of your life? And depending on where you are, it might take you some time to understand these aspects of yourself. You might have to reflect. A lot of people suggest journaling or meditating, but I would suggest that you do any embodied practice that speaks to your soul. And by embodied, I mean using your body in ways to express yourself creatively and reflectively to understand what you think about a topic. And I go into this in more depth in my Release and Elevate Ascension Studio, which I'll link the information below. It's already in progress, but if you'd like to join us, I will still take a couple of more students. But basically, understanding yourself is key, because If not, you can be swayed by anything. If you stand for nothing, as they say, you'll fall for anything. And so if you don't know who you are, you can't really attract what you really want in the world. You may just be attracting what other people are telling you what you want, or other things that you see on TV, or other things that people in your life have, or other things that just seem cool on the surface, but how do they actually align to your values? For some millionaires or billionaires, for example, they may want to get a yacht for whatever reason. And my goal in life is never to get a yacht, for example, because I don't love yachts. I love to be on them, but I don't want to own them and only be on them for like a few weeks out of the year. So you really have to be clear about what your values are and how they match up to what you want in the world. I use a very large and somewhat superficial example, but if you want a certain type of relationship, whether you want to get married in the future, or you want a partnership, or you want a business, or you want to have a certain type of lifestyle, what are your values and how do they relate to that? How, if you do know your values, how have you been showing up inside of those values and ethics on a regular basis in your life? And so it's just a quick way to just map it out. So I'll just give you a brief kind of way that you can do it quickly on paper, but you can do it any kind of way you want. You can play music, you can meditate, whatever speaks to you, but you can write out each area of your life, from family, relationships, spirituality, finance, career, romance, whatever you want to include as key areas of your life, and write down what your values are. You might want to make an overall value statement at the end once you figure out what your values are in each area, but that will give you some specifics around how you see yourself. And you can ask yourself, okay, how have I shown up in the last 2 to 3 months or 3 to 6 months in each of these areas? When it came to this conflict around the way this person was being treated at my job, how did I show up? What were the inhibiting or contributing factors to my behaviors, and how can I address those moving forward? For all of us, we have different ethics and values and systems that govern our behavior. Some of them are conscious to us, and some of them are actually subconscious. So this is a good way to reflect so that you can understand where you are and where you're going. What do you want to change about your ethics and values? What do you want to change about your habits, behaviors, and just the energy that you bring into different spaces? So with that, I will leave you with that one tip. I have so much more I could share about this topic. And again, I go into more depth about it in my Ascension Studio, which is the name that I use for my courses. So I would love that if you would join me for that, if you feel called to. And in the meantime, I would love to hear in the comments what your ethics are. What are your values? Even if it's just one area, what is your values in relationship to the media that you consume? What kind of content do you allow into your space and into your mind, and why? And how do you make sure that you're constantly holding that value despite all the information that's coming at you, such as this video? So thank you so much for your time. I hope this video helps you. Stay golden, stay elevated, and I will see you in the next one.